Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 3 of the anime series, Orange. And we're thoroughly seeing, through the course of this episode, that Naho really has an uphill battle ahead of her in trying to gain a sense of courage and really reconciling her feelings for Kakeru. But it's not without its, promise. I mean, this is something I've said ever since episode 1, that she is a character with promise, a promise of being able, having the potential to grow and evolve and become and do what's necessary as per this letter she's received from, tentatively, 10 years in the future, which has spelled out for her a sad future, a sad and destructive fate for Kakeru, this boy she is interested in. And it's quite interesting. I loved all of the speculative, commentary going back and forth between myself and you guys on my last episode discussion video in the comments along the lines of what exactly is going to happen to Kakeru. I mean, ever since the first episode, there was speculation about perhaps his having health issues and a disease that might take his life. Ever since the revelation of his mother committing suicide the day he met everybody, my first knee-jerk reaction was to speculate that maybe he will take his own life or attempt so. And I have not, as I've mentioned in the comments with, discussing it back and forth with you guys, I've not ruled out something just accidentally happening. Maybe he gets drunk and he goes out driving, something along those lines. Whatever the case may be, the letter purports that Naho and her friends could have stopped this fate from being sealed, could have stopped his death, could have saved his life in some way, shape, or form. And this just adds to that curiosity, that inquisitive nature of this show, of what's going on. As we flash forward toward the end of this episode, once again, to the future incarnations of Naho and Suwa and Azusa and all of that, we see that they have dug up the time capsule that they were burying back in episode 1. And it's interesting that when they reach Kakeru's sort of letter that's supposed to have been written to his future self, he is more concerned with everyone else's well-being, and he hasn't really said anything to his future self. And the speculation amongst the crowd is, well, might he have suspected he wouldn't have a future in some manner, something along those lines. Could he have? It seems to be leaning toward that idea that, once again, perhaps he knew his time was limited because he was going to take his life, or he had taken his life, something along those lines. But what I find highly fascinating is all through the course of this episode, Naho is consumed with the idea of the future being changed, being changeable. And this largely has to do with the fact that, the letter has told her Kakeru, after his sort of preliminary stint with the soccer club, he'll refuse to join, and the letter wants her to basically, convince him, even if by force, to join the soccer club. Well, surprise, surprise, something has actually happened differently to what the letter has purported. We have Suwa coming in the classroom being all excited and saying Kakeru has officially joined, and it was all down to Suwa's, imploring him to do so, begging him to do so, not leaving him be, as a good friend might when he knows his buddy's a good soccer player. Stay on the team, that kind of thing. And so it's that much more highly intriguing. It is a confidence booster for Naho, because she feels like, now I know I can save his life. Things are changing. Yet things do not seem to have changed at all for the future incarnations of these characters. So are we witnessing alternate timelines? Is it, that these past events have yet to catch up with the future? Is it something where the future, specifically the death of Kakeru in one way, shape, or form, is set in stone, and it's only these sort of stepping stones on the way to that culmination that can be affected? It's all quite highly intriguing. Of course, the sort of main crux of this episode, especially for Naho, is very much having to deal with the fact that there's this other girl, Ueda, who is going to confess her feelings for Kakeru. And of course, this is a conflict waiting to happen. Naho loves him as well, and she's very much having to sort of, rise to the challenge of letting him know. Now, there's a very intriguing way that this plays out in the fact that he apparently, when he forgot his pen case and she lends him a pen and eraser, he slipped a note in the eraser like the little, slip of paper around it, wrapped around it, asking her specifically, is it a good thing that I go out with Ueda-senpai? She hadn't noticed that note before, and now that she knows about it, of course, it takes all of her courage, all of whatever internal strength she has, to simply write an answer, no, and slip it into his shoes, his sneakers, in his locker when I guess he's out playing soccer and such like that. But of course, all of this comes just a little too late. He's already accepted going out with Ueda-senpai, and she is running off happily as the rest of the posse are watching from the classroom window. And of course, Naho goes home and is sad and is crying over her little box of orange juice that, Kakaru, having gotten sidled with getting everyone drinks and everything like that, had brought back for her. Unfortunately, it was the only kind they had. She wanted orange juice. And that was a sort of a strange exchange between them, by the way, where he's, asking, or rather writing down what everyone wants, and he asks her pointedly what she wants. And she's just kind of like, give me anything. And he's like, red bean stew or something like that. And she's just kind of like, orange juice, I guess. So, I mean, there is still a strangeness, an underwriting strangeness between them, maybe more surrounding Kakaru. It does seem like he is livening up. It does seem like he's becoming more vivacious and happy. But of course, this could all be a front for the inevitable potential self-destructiveness that takes his life. It's all highly intriguing, highly curious to me, and I'm dying to see what exactly is going to happen between these characters, whether or not they are able to save his life, whether his death, however that comes to pass, is set in stone. These changes, it's something I put forth very early on, I think in my first episode discussion video, that these changes could be minor ones, and that big inevitable, Kakaru losing his life somehow, some way, might yet be set in stone. And this manifest destiny aspect of this letter from the future, it could just be a means of sort of making life better for everyone around him. Naho most especially, because she has a learning curve that she's on. She has that learning curve of finding her courage and being true to herself and her feelings and confessing them, speaking her mind, and she is ultimately capable. She, as we see her putting that note in his sneaker to say, no, don't go out with Ueda, this is, a bold step for her, closer to that revelation of her own feelings for him. It just was too little too late. And with, the episodes we have left to us, it's going to be highly intriguing to see how much further she can go up those rungs of that ladder to get over those next hurdles, and to see what effect it's going to have on past, present, and future. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 3 of Orange. If you've seen it as well and enjoyed it as much as I did, we're left, sort of, as usual, curious and inquisitive as to how exactly things are going to play out. Love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below, and just love having that conversation. So, yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it from me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.